Okay, I hope now my screen 20 years. If you are in college right now and if you are looking to build a good career for next 15 years, next 20 years of your life, now is the time to enter into AI domain, because you can see everywhere AI is taking over. Everywhere you can see chat GPT is being used, you can see different AI tools are being used. Now if you enter into this field, if you know how to train machine learning algorithms, if you know how deep learning works, if you know how generative AI works, then your career would be secure. Trust me, data analysts, business analysts, data scientists, AI engineers, Gen AI engineers, these are the job roles that are going to dominate the market in next 20-25 years. And if you want to start your career with, now is the time. I hope we are clear with the agenda. We are clear in mind that why we are here, why do we want to learn this. To do is we are going to go to Newton School website. Is just write Newton School login, and over here you can log in from your own account. Okay, you can log in from, and you will be able to access this dashboard. Now this dashboard is usually for our paid students, but for the ongoing masterclass we have given the access to everyone. Over here you can see the timeline. This is basically to access your classes. Whenever your classes will be scheduled, they will appear over here. And your rank. Okay, coming back to this presentation. So this is going to be the agenda. Now, agenda for today would be to understand, first of all, what is data science. Now, before you start preparing for any exam, you need to understand what you are preparing for. Many of you told that, okay, we need to enter into data analytics, we need to become a data scientist. But first, we need to understand what exactly is data science. What does a data scientist do? Then we will understand that why is SQL important to be studied for data science, or why do we need to study SQL. Then we are going to study about databases, and finally, we will start coding in SQL. So, in the next 30 minutes, we will study all of this and then we'll start coding in SQL. Is everyone with me so far? Yes or no? 170 people in the class. Is everyone with me? I hope I am not running too fast. I hope I am audible to everyone, right? If you have any doubts, feel free to ask them in the chat box and just keep on reacting so that I know that you guys are able to understand me. Okay. Now I have just one last request from you guys. If anyone has joined with a mobile phone, please try to join it with a laptop. Please try to join the class with a laptop so that you guys can code along with me. So the way we teach at Newton School is basically whenever I'm taking a class, I would like you guys to code along with me. Okay. So if you are connected with a mobile, it would not be possible. So I would request everyone, if you guys have a laptop, please try to stay connected with a laptop so that whatever we are learning, we will implement it as it is. If you guys need 1 minute, I can give you that. Please try to connect with a laptop. Tablet would also not work. You need a proper laptop or a computer. You would need a proper laptop or a computer. How to get to the dashboard? Just Google Newton School, log into your account, and you will be able to access the dashboard. Okay. Okay. Let's move ahead. So this is the agenda. So guys, again, just try to code along with me once we start. And for coding, you will require a laptop. Now, guys, let's first start with a little theory part. Okay. So we all discussed about getting into this data science field. But what exactly is this data science field? Or what does data science exactly mean? Can someone please tell me in the chat box? Can someone please tell me in the chat box what does data science mean, or does anyone know what is data science? Because today everyone is talking about data science. Everyone is saying that oh, data science is the new goal. Data science is to be followed, and so on. Play with data. Okay, that is very basic. But what else do you understand with data science? Is a field of data which uses data and ML techniques to predict and take insights. Okay. Data science is a process of collecting, analyzing, interpreting data to extract useful information. Okay. Okay. So you guys are partially correct, but let me explain you the full picture. Okay. So data science is made up of two words, data and science. Now, when someone says that let's do data science, that basically means that applying scientific methods on the data, applying scientific methods on the data to do what? To basically understand the data, to draw insights from the data, and to use the data for our benefit. So, what it simply means is whenever you have any kind of information, whenever you have any kind of data, and you use that data along with some scientific methods to get insights from the data, to understand the data better, to get some knowledge from the data. It basically integrates different things like statistics, mathematics, advanced computing, machine learning, artificial intelligence. All of these things are combined along with the data. But to do what? Just to draw insights from the data. For example, I'll tell you a very simple example. Let's suppose that you work for a grocery shop, or you are the owner of a grocery shop. In your shop, you sell all these things. For example, you sell chips, chocolates, cold drinks, biscuits, namkeen, all these things you sell in your shop. Now, if I ask you that look at your balance sheet or look at your data and tell me how much profit did you have in last 5 years, will you be able to tell me yes or no? If I give you the data, your balance sheets of last 5 years, will you be able to tell me how much profit did you have? Yes or no? Yes, you will be able to tell me. How? Because you have the data. Now you will try to understand the data. You will try to get inside the data. You will calculate the revenue. You will calculate the cost, and you will subtract them to give me the profit. That okay, this is the profit in last 5 years. Now imagine if I give you this data for 10,000 shops. Now, this will be a little more difficult for you, right? This will be a little more difficult for you. But this is exactly what we do in data analysis. Data analysis basically means when you are analyzing the data to find out the hidden meaning of the data. For example, in the same data, I ask you that, okay, tell me which is your highest selling product in the shop. What you are going to do? You are going to look again at the sales data and see which is your highest selling product. But what we are doing, we are looking at the data and we are finding some insights. We are finding some results from the data. This is called as data analysis. Now, what is data science then? Data science basically means when we use the data to make a prediction about the future. Let's suppose I ask you that look at the data of last 10 years in your shop. Look at the sales data of last 10 years in your shop and tell me what is your total sale going to be in 2026. What is your total sale going to be next year? Can you tell me by looking at the previous data? Yes or no? By looking at the previous data, can you tell me what is going to be your sale next year? Okay. So, guys, this is where you guys are wrong. No, you cannot tell by looking at your previous sales what is your sale going to be next year. You can just predict. Absolutely correct. Spurti has said it correctly. We can just predict it. We cannot exactly tell how much is your sale going to be next year. So, this is the difference between data analysis and data science. Data analysis is basically study of the past data, and data science is basically when you try to predict the future using your past data. So using your sales of last 10 years, you can predict the sales of the next year. Now how correct it would be, that we will know in the future only. But for now, you need to understand that data science is basically study of the past data to predict the future. Do you know how does this weather app work in your phone? Everyone uses these weather apps, right? How do they predict what is going to be the temperature tomorrow? Is there going to be rain or not tomorrow? Because that is all artificial intelligence, that is all machine learning, that is all data science. Because they know that based on the last 5 days of data, is there going to be a rain or not? Is there going to be what is going to be the temperature tomorrow? Now always that app is not correct, because that app is also making a prediction. Sometimes it can be wrong, sometimes it can be right. You all know how Google Maps work. Google Maps tell you that, okay, it is going to take 2 hours to reach from A to B. But is it always 2 hours? No. It is a prediction. It is merely a prediction. So every app that you use today, every single app in your phone uses data science in some or the other manner. And that is why I am telling you that now is the correct time to start learning data science. Because today, in every single company, in every single product, there is a demand of data analysis and data science. Without this wing, the company cannot go ahead. And that is why data scientists are paid so much. Data analysts are paid so much in the industry because their work is important. How does Netflix decide whether to recommend a movie to you or not? It is data science. How does Swiggy decide how much time will it take your order to reach from shop to your home? It is data science. How does Amazon decide that, okay, if you are buying product A, it starts recommending you product B? It is data science. Every single app that you use in your phone, every single product that you use is related to data science. Is everyone clear with this? Is everyone clear with this? What is data science? Data science basically is the prediction of the future on the basis of the past data that we have. How does companies like McDonald's, Burger King manage their inventory? How do they know that these many burgers need to be ordered for the next day? Or for a particular outlet, how do they decide that, okay, these many patties we are going to need every day? It is all data science. It is all decided using data science models. I hope this is clear to everyone. From healthcare to finance, every single domain is about data science. You have all heard about machine learning. Machine learning basically means when you are training your machine on the data, and machine is trying to learn patterns from the data, it is trying to understand the data and give you insights. Now, the program that Newton School has built, it is built in such a manner that it would be covering everything. Let me increase the size a little bit. Okay. So this is basically a 14-month curriculum where in the first 4 months they teach you the basics that are required to do data analysis like Excel, Power BI, SQL. Then in the next 4 months they teach you advanced exploratory data analysis, Python, and business case studies, which will make you a business analyst. After that, you will be taught supervised machine learning, unsupervised machine learning, MLOps, neural networks, based on which you will become a data scientist. And then you will be taught computer vision and natural language processing. So, all of this is the basis of generative AI today. Whatever is required to become a data scientist, a data analyst, this is exactly the roadmap that you need to follow. I hope everyone is clear with this, guys. Yes or no? Okay. Now, if you guys have given any data analyst interviews or if you guys have prepared for any of these interviews, you would know that what is the most asked skill in an interview. From an interview perspective, which skill is basically the most important one? In almost 80% of the data analyst openings, like product analyst, finance analyst, growth analyst, business analyst, SQL, I'll not even say 80, almost 95% of these openings, SQL is going to be an expectation. Your first round of interview of all these companies, be it a small company or Facebook, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, all these companies, trust me, the first round of interview is always going to be on SQL. This is like a qualifying round. If you are not good at SQL, they will never select you. And there is a reason for that. I will explain you the reason, but you need to understand why we are teaching SQL. SQL is going to be your first step towards getting your job if you want to become a data analyst or a data scientist. If you are not good at SQL, then there is no chance that you will be selected. And why is this important? Let's try to understand this. Let me go ahead. Okay. So, guys, like I told you, that to become a data analyst or to become a data scientist, what is the most important thing that you need? Any guesses? To become a data scientist or to become a data analyst, what is the most important thing that you need? No, apart from SQL, problem solving, analysis. No, someone said it correctly, Vipul. It's data. Because without data, you cannot do data analysis. Without data, you cannot perform data science. You cannot build data models, right? So, the first thing that you need when you become a data analyst or a data scientist is the data. Now, earlier we used to store our data in the form of Excel files. But Today, companies are generating billions of rows of data every single day. I'm not even saying a year, every single day. Now, just for example, you all use Instagram, right? Now, you click on a meme, you share a meme, you like a meme, you scroll Instagram every day. Every single click that you do on Instagram is stored in the form of a data point. Instagram knows on what reel did you click, on what reel did you share, on what reel did you like. How is Instagram storing all that information? It is storing that information in the form of data points. And that kind of data, imagine billions and trillions of rows of data every single day, terabytes of data every single day, cannot be stored in Excel files. It is practically impossible. And that is why to store this huge amount of data, we have databases. We have databases. So, in simple terms, database is nothing but where you store all your data. Okay, where you store all your data. Now, these are the reasons why we don't store data in Excel files, because Excel file has limitation to store data. It cannot handle complex queries, and it cannot handle real-time updates. Imagine you just clicked a like on Instagram and it will be stored as a data. This all things cannot be done in Excel. That is why we need a very good storage of data, which is called as database or headquarters of data. Now, this database has many features. We can add as much data as we want. We can search the data. We can alter the data. We can update the data, and we can delete the data. So, a database is basically like your neatly organized almirah, like your neatly organized wardrobe, where all your things are kept. So, in today's world, when you are working for these big companies or even small companies, the data is not stored like earlier days, like in Excel files. Data is stored in databases in a very structured manner, in the form of tables, in the form of rows and columns. And now we will know that why databases are important or why SQL is important. Now, SQL is SQL, Structured Query Language. It is a simple language, a very special language, which is in English, and it is used to communicate and manage databases. That means whatever data is stored in my database, whatever information is stored in my database, it can be accessed through SQL. SQL is that coding language which is used to get data from the databases, on which you will do data analysis, on which you will do data science, and so on. So, before you become a data analyst, before you become a data scientist, first thing that they expect from you is you should be able to code in SQL, because SQL is the language which will help you to get the data. SQL is the language which will help you in playing with the data. And that is why, for any of these interviews, the first round is always going to be SQL, because the interviewer would like to know that can you even get the data? Can you even understand how data is stored in the databases and so on? So, now are we clear that how we moved from data science and data analytics to databases, and from databases to SQL, and why today SQL is in so much demand? Are we clear on this, guys? Yes or no? Before we start with the coding part of SQL now, are we clear with this that why is SQL important? Okay, go ahead. Okay. So, guys, now what we are going to do is we are going to see how a database looks like. So, you can see over here, this is a diagram which shows me how a database looks like. So, a database is usually made up of tables. So, each rectangle that you see is nothing but a table. Each table will store some different information. So for example, you can see this user table. This user table will have some data, item table will have some data, transaction table will have some data, and so on. And each table in the database is connected with the other tables. I will explain this with a real example, don't worry about it. So let's first start with the coding part, right? So over here, what you need to do is, let me show you. So once again, you will go to Google, you will write Newton School and just log into your account. Okay, once again, just log into your account. As soon as you log into your account, on the top, you will see here playground button, right? You just click on this playground button. Let me copy and paste the code so that you guys can come over here. Okay, so just click on this link and you will come to this particular screen. This is basically our Newton School's inbuilt playground where you can practice coding. Okay, is everyone able to access this link? Yes or no? Is everyone able to access this link? Okay. Once you come over here, just click on this create new and scroll down to mysql compiler. Okay. Just come to mysql compiler, create new, and then mysql compiler. I'll give everyone 2 minutes so that you guys can set up this screen. This is where we are going to write our SQL code. Okay. So just go to this link that I have given, click on create new, and then click on mysql compiler. If you have done this, just press a yes so that I know that you guys have done this. Everyone press a yes if you are there with me on the screen. It's very easy. Still, I'll give 1 minute to everyone so that you guys can open it. Excuse me. Okay. So I hope everyone is able to set this screen. If not, please again, I'll repeat, go to that link, click on create new and select MySQL compiler. You will be able to do that. All the other people are able to do it. So can you, right? Okay. So now whatever was written on the screen, just remove that. And now we will start with the coding part. Now I'll be teaching the code from scratch. So listen to me very carefully. There is nothing that you should already know. So I'll teach you from scratch everything, right? So first of all, before we start with the coding part, let's try to understand a few things about SQL. SQL is a very simple coding language. Now there are only a few things that you need to remember about SQL. First of all, in SQL, there is no difference between small letters or capital letters. Okay, that means you can write anything in small letters or caps lock, it will not make any difference. Second thing that you need to keep in mind is you cannot make any spelling mistakes. I am writing this in capital so that you remember always. If you make any spelling mistake, SQL is going to give an error. That means, let's suppose if my table name is data, and if instead of data I write, let's say DATTA, it is going to give me an error. So always remember that first of all, small letters and capital letters make no difference in SQL, and you cannot make any spelling mistakes. Second thing that you need to remember is always end your code, or in SQL we call it a query. Okay, a code is called a query. Always end your query with a semicolon, with this symbol, okay, semicolon. Third thing you need to remember is whenever you put two dashes in front of any line, that line becomes a comment or a note. That is what I am writing over here. That means this code will not be executed. It is like a comment. It is like a note that you are writing for your own explanation. This is not the part of your actual code. So to comment any line, you just have to put two dash in front of it and it will become a comment. So this is how you write basic SQL code. Now, one more thing that you need to remember is that there are databases, right? There is a database, for example. Inside each database, there will be multiple tables, and inside each table, we will have the data. This is the hierarchy that you need to remember. So a database is made up of multiple tables, and inside each table, we will store our data. Is everyone clear so far, guys? Yes or no? Yes or no? Is everyone clear? Okay. So this is just what you need to remember. And now we can start with the coding part. Now, the first thing that I need to know is that what are my databases? Show database. That means I am asking SQL to show me what all databases are present. As soon as I run this code, you can see over here, I have 4 databases present with me. These are the name of the databases. Okay. Then let's say I want to use test underscore DB database. That means I am going to study the tables of this database. So I am saying use test underscore DB. And again, I run the code. Let me comment the first line. Okay. So now you can see I want to use test underscore DB. Okay. That means now this particular database is selected. Now inside the database, there will be tables. So now I will write show tables. Show tables. And you can see it is showing me 5 tables which are present in this database. So the table names are customers, order items, orders, payment, and products. So these 5 tables are present in my database test underscore DB. And now we know that data is present in these tables. Are we clear with this, guys? Yes or no? Are we clear with this? Okay. Now let's try to see what is present in each of the table. So to see the data inside the table, we have to write select star from the name of your table. Let's say I want to see what is present in the customers table. Select star from customers. And I told you that always end your code or query with a colon. So colon is always there. And now if I run this, You can see I am getting all the data which is present in this table. Star basically means all the data. So select all the data from customers table. Let's suppose instead of customers, I write customer. I make a spelling mistake, and you can see it will give me an error that this table does not exist because the correct name of the table is customers. If I write the spelling of select wrong, again it will give me error. So always remember, SQL will give you an error if there is a spelling mistake. Yes or no? Guys, I want you to code along with me. So whatever I am writing, please try to copy that and try to write the code so that you also get confidence that, okay, we are writing the code. Okay. So now we have seen what is present in the customers table. In the customers table, I have the customer ID, that is the unique ID of every customer, first name, last name, email, phone number, address, state, country, zip code. So basically, I have the personal information of every customer. Similarly, if I see what is present in the orders table, you can see I have order ID, the customer who placed this order, customer ID, orders date, and total amount. So this is how data is stored in the tables. Each table has some different data. Customers table had customer related data. Orders table has orders related data. But can you tell me what is the connection between customers table and orders table? Can anyone tell me the relationship between customers table and orders table? It is customer ID. Absolutely correct. So every table will have some or the other connection with the others table. Right? Tomorrow we will learn about joins and we will see how we can join two tables. But for now, just remember that every table is interconnected. Like I showed you in this chart, there are almost 10 tables and every table is interconnected somehow or the other with the tables, with different tables. So this is how a database looks like. A database will contain tables and tables will contain the data. And if you want to see the data of any table, let's say I want to see what is present in the payment table. So you can see payment ID, order ID, payment date, payment amount, and payment method. So this is present in the payment table. Similarly, let's say order items table. So we have the order ID, product ID, quantity, and price. So guys, this is how we store data in today's world in the form of tables in our databases. Is this concept clear to everyone? Yes or no? Okay, someone is saying we don't have the data. Can you please try to log in again? Please try to log in again. You will find the data. Is everyone else able to run the queries? Is everyone else able to find the data? Yes or no? Okay, so if others can, so can you guys. I'll give 1 minute. Please, everyone, try to log in again and set it up. Okay, so Gayatri has founded the data. Please, others also try. Okay, I hope it is working for everyone now. Please try to keep on commenting the code also, like I am writing, right? So whatever previous code is there, please try to comment it and then try to run the code. Okay. So now we have seen how we can access the data in the tables. Let's go back to that. Let's say this is the customers table. Now, what if I don't want to see all the columns? I only want to see the email column. I want to see the city column. I want to see the state column. So instead of writing star, which will give you all the columns, you can write the name of the specific columns also like this. And now in whatever order you will write the columns, they will appear in that order only. So let's say first name, then I want customer ID column and so on. Okay, so in whatever order you want to display the columns in the output, you can write it in that sequence. It will work fine. You can see I have written email twice, so it is showing me email twice. So whatever columns you want, you write them after the select statement. Now start understanding how we are going to frame the queries. Within next 30 minutes, this single line will become very, very complicated. So that is why I want you to stay with me. I want you to keep on focusing. So star is used when you want all the columns, or if you want any particular columns in any particular order, you can write it like this. Let's go back to the star. So now the next thing that we can do is we can filter the data. That means let's suppose I only want those data points where my zip code value is greater than, let's say, 50,000 and colon. Always remember colon will come at the end of your query. So now if I run this, you can see only those zip codes will be selected that are greater than 50,000. Let's say if I make this 70,000, only those zip codes will appear that are greater than 70,000. So this is called as filtering the data. Given any condition, how you can filter the data using the where clause. This is called as the where clause. Now let's suppose if I want to give multiple conditions, I also want to give one more condition that end customer ID should be greater than 6. So now wherever both the conditions will be satisfied, that zip code is greater than 70,000 and customer ID is greater than 6, only those rows will be selected. If I run this, you can see now customer ID should be greater than 9. So if you want to filter your data set, you can do it using the where clause or the where condition. I can put instead of and, I can put or. That means if any of the condition is satisfied, either my customer ID is greater than 9 or my zip code is greater than 70,000. If any of the condition is satisfied, my row will be selected. You can use and if both the conditions you want to be satisfied. You can use or if you want any of the condition to be satisfied. Now what I want is that I've pasted the code. I want everyone to try this out so that you guys start understanding what we are trying to do. 30 seconds for everyone. Please try out the code that we are writing side by side along with me. Only then you will be able to understand. But so far, we have almost spent 1 hour. Do you find SQL difficult? Yes or no? Do you find SQL difficult, guys? Trust me, this is how SQL is going to be. In next 30 minutes, you will learn almost 50 to 60% of SQL. But what I want is, or what I expect from you is to code along with me. Okay. Now we have learned about filtering, right? We have learned about filtering. Let's move on to the next thing. Let's suppose, okay, I remove these filters. Let me put only this filter. Okay. Now what I want is, I want to display my output in a particular order. What does that mean? So currently you can see everything is in a haphazard manner, but I want to display my output in the order of zip code, in ascending order. So you can write order by zip code, and you can see the minimum zip code is coming at the top and the highest zip code is coming at the bottom. So you can display your output in a particular order using order by clause. If you want it in descending order, you can also write DESC, and now it will be in descending order. If you don't write anything, it will be in ascending order. So now you can see highest zip code is at the top and the lowest zip code is at the bottom. So are you able to understand that we are slowly and steadily trying to control our data in the database? We are trying to manipulate the data in our database according to our requirement. Okay, so order by clause is used to order the data in a particular manner. Let's say instead of this, I want to order by customer ID. So order by customer ID in descending order. So now you can see the highest customer ID is coming at the top and the lowest is coming at the bottom. If I remove descending, now the lowest customer ID is coming at the top and the highest customer ID is coming at the bottom. So this is how you can control how you want to order your output. The next thing that we can control is how many rows I want to display. So currently it is showing me all the rows, all the relevant rows. But if I write limit 5 or limit 6, it is only going to show me the top 6 rows. If I write limit 4, it is going to show me the top 4 rows. If I write limit 1, it is going to show me the topmost row. So again, where clause is used to filter the data. Order by clause is used to order in a particular manner. And limit clause basically tells me how many rows I want to display. So these are the basic clause in SQL, which help you in controlling the data inside a table. Is there any doubt so far, guys? Yes or no? Any doubts till whatever we have covered? Because the next topic is going to be a little complicated. So I want you to be very clear till now. DESC for descending order, correct. When to use colon? So colon will be used at the end of your query. So in the last line of your query, you will write colon after everything ends. Okay. Now we have learned how to control the query. The next thing we are going to learn is the most important thing in SQL, which helps you do a lot of things. So everyone can see that we have a lot of numerical data. For example, if I have to show you this table, uh, orders table, let me show you the orders table. You can see over here, I have the total amount column. Similarly, I have the customer ID column, order ID column. All these columns are numerical columns, number columns, right? Now, what if I want to apply some kind of function on this? What if I want to do some kind of calculation on this? For this, we have aggregate functions in SQL. Only the name is difficult. These are very, very simple to understand. Aggregate functions are basically those functions which take multiple inputs but always return a single output. Let me give you an example. Let's suppose if I ask you to add 1 plus 2 plus 3, it is taking three inputs 1, 2, and 3, but the output is a single number. Similarly, if I ask you to find out the maximum number between these three numbers or these four numbers, again, multiple inputs are there, but only a single output is there. If I ask you to count numbers from 1 to 99, how many inputs are there? 99 inputs are there, but only a single output is there. If I ask you to calculate the average of, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, again, multiple inputs are there, but only a single output value is there. So aggregate functions are basically those functions which take multiple inputs for calculation, but always return a single output. Five such aggregate functions that we are going to use in SQL are minimum, maximum, count, sum, and average. So if you have to perform any kind of basic calculations, they will be performed using these five functions only. Is this clear to everyone? Yes or no? So aggregate functions are used for calculations. Now let me show you a live example of this. Let's go to the payments table first. Okay. So in the payment table, I have the payment ID, the order ID for which this payment is done, the date on which this payment is done, amount of the payment, and the method of the payment. Now let's suppose I am a data analyst working for this company, and the CEO of my company says, tell me the total payment received, which is also called revenue, right? What is the total payment that is received? How can I do that? Can anyone tell me which function will I use over here? If I have to calculate the total payment, just use your brain and think which function will be used. Sum function. Absolutely correct. So what I am going to do is I want to write select sum of the payment amount column. Payment amount column. That's it. It is that simple to use in SQL. And you can see I am getting sum of the payment amount column as this. This is my total revenue or the total payment that is received. Now you can see over here, this is coming as sum of payment amount. Rather, I want to write this as revenue. So over here, I can just write as revenue and it will appear as revenue over here. So as revenue basically means I am telling SQL that whatever this calculation is, I want to write this as revenue. And you can see how easily I am able to calculate the revenue for my company. Imagine this table could have lakhs of rows of data, but just by writing these four words, I am able to get the total revenue. I want you guys to run this query and try to understand what we are doing. And if you have any doubts, please feel free to ask. Okay, so how easily we have calculated the sum of the payment amount. Now I also want to, let's suppose my CEO also says that how many payments were made. How many payments were made in total. Now tell me which function am I going to use. Let's call this as payments received. Which function can I use to see how many payments were there? Absolutely correct, count. So what I'll do is I'll put a comma and I'll say count. What should I count? I'll count the payment IDs, right? And let's call this as payment received. And again, I will run this. And now you can see it will have revenue along with the payments received. So total 45 payments are received and this much is the revenue, right? So this is how you use aggregate functions. This is how you calculate the mathematical functions. Let's say he also asks me to calculate the average payment amount. That is, what do customers usually pay at our shop on average? Okay, let's say what do our customers usually pay. So for that, I'm going to use the average function and I will calculate the average of the payment amount column. And let's call this as EVG pay. So now you can see on average, the customer pays 4,640 rupees. So how easily by writing just this single line of code, I am able to analyze the data. So this is what exactly data analysis is. Let's suppose this data was given and I was asked to analyze it. This is exactly how would have I have performed the data analysis. Yes or no, guys? Are we clear with this? Can I move to the next topic? Does this look simple so far? Yes or no? Okay. Now coming back to our payments table. Coming back to our payments table. So again, select star from payment. So now what we did was we calculated the total revenue. We calculated the total number of payments. We calculated the average of the total table. But now what my CEO wants to understand is he wants to understand how many payments were received for each payment method. He wants to understand how many payments were received for each payment method. So till now what we were doing was we were calculating the total payments received in the entire table. But now he wants that how many payments were received using credit card, how many payments were received using PayPal, how many payments were received using debit card. So we want to do the exact same calculation, but for each payment method. Is the question clear to everyone, first of all? Is the question clear to everyone what we are trying to calculate? We are trying to do the same calculation, but this time not for the entire table, rather for each payment method. And for this, what we are going to use is we are going to use a next clause, which is called as the group by clause. Now understand when a group by clause will be used. When someone asks me to group the data, when someone asks me to group the data, that means over here, if you understand the problem, it is saying calculate how many payments are received for each payment method. That means for each payment method, I will have to group the data. That means all the credit card transactions will come together, all the debit card transactions will come together, all the PayPal transactions will come together. So groups will be formed, and then for each group we will calculate how many payments are received. So you have to understand this very carefully when to use group by clause. Whenever you will have to group the data, that means if you can see over here, each payment method, that means group of each payment method will be formed. Let me show you how to write this code. Again, select, first of all, write the column by which you want to group by. So let's say I want to group by the payment method. Okay. What do I want to calculate? How many payments are there? That means count of the payment ID column. Let's call this as payments. From which table? From the payment table. And then I can say group by payment method. And now if I try to run this code, you can see what will happen. So what it is doing, for every payment method, group by payment method, that means for every unique value in the payment method, it is going to count the payment IDs. So for credit card, 11 payments were done. For PayPal, 11 payments were done. For debit card, 5 payments were done, and so on. So group by clause is very, very important because it helps you in understanding the data in much more depth. If you remember earlier, we were trying to calculate the total payment received. But now we have the total payments received for each payment method. We have gone one level in deep. Similarly, I can calculate revenue also for each of these. So again, sum of payment amount column, let's call this as revenue. So you can see I have for each payment method how many payments are there and how much revenue is there from each payment method. Similarly, if I want to calculate the average also, average of the payment amount, right? Average of the payment amount as average pay. So you can see average pay by credit card is 2400, average pay by PayPal is this, and so on. So what is happening over here? First of all, groups will be formed based on payment method. So all the payments which are done by credit card will be grouped and their total count will be calculated, revenue will be calculated, and average pay will be calculated. Then all the rows of PayPal will be put together, grouped together, and similar things will. This is called as the group by clause. This is, I think, one of the most difficult clause in SQL. If you have understood this, that means you have understood 50% of SQL. No, you cannot use star while grouping, right? Because now you have to give the specific columns that you will want. I'll give 2 minutes over here. Why? Because I want you to go through the code, understand it line by line, see if you want to run it in a different manner, and ask me your doubts. Doubt asking is very important over here. Please ask your doubts if you have any. I have pasted the whole code in the chat box. Please access. I'll tell you the tricks also, don't worry. I'll tell you the tricks how to decide. We'll write a very big full query, then you will understand. 1 minute more. I want everyone to run this query before we start collecting all these things that we have learned into a single query. Okay, I want to filter the records that is sorted A to Z, but only show up top 10 records, including the first row. I'll tell this, don't worry. We are coming to Aryan. Okay, just give us 5 minutes. Okay, so now we have written this query. Now we have what we have learned. Let me give you a quick recap. So far, we have learned about the where clause, which is used to filter the data. Filter the data. Second thing we have learned about is the group by clause, which is used with aggregate functions, right? Which is used with aggregate functions and group the data. Third thing we had learned was order by clause. It is used to sort the data in ascending or descending order, however we want. Fourth thing that we learned is the limit clause, and limit clause is used to control the number of rows displayed. And before all of this comes the select clause. It is basically used to select the columns we want to display. And after select, it is from the table name. Now, why I have written this is you need to remember the sequence. This sequence can never change. First, you write the select clause. You write all the columns that you want from the name of the table. Then you write your where clause where your data will be filtered. After that, group by clause where the grouping will be performed. After that, order by clause where your data will be sorted in whatever order you want. And finally, the limit clause to control the number of rows that are being displayed. This is the golden sequence of SQL that you need to remember and you need to follow while writing the query. Now, we'll use all of these clauses in a single query. We'll write a very complicated query and try to figure it out. First of all, let's start with a simple table. So select start from the payment table. So you can see over here, I am getting the entire payment table, right? Now let's suppose I want to filter those rows where my payment amount. So currently you can see these many rows are there, right? Now let's say I want to filter those rows where my payment amount value is greater than, let's say, 3000, where my payment amount value is greater than 3000. So you can see the number of rows have decreased because filtering is happened. The next thing that I want is I want to calculate for each payment method what is the total number of payments and what is the total revenue that is collected. So for that, what I will need is I will need the payment method and I will calculate the sum of the payment amount column. Let's call this as revenue, comma, and I will calculate the count of the payment ID column as payments. So this is what we have been doing so far, right? And because I am using these aggregate functions, I will also have to write group by. So you can see group by payment method, right? Because I will perform grouping by payment method. So now you can see I am getting this output. So PayPal, the total revenue is this much from PayPal payment method. Two payments were there. Debit card, this much is the revenue. Two payments were there. COD, this much, and so on. Let's reduce this condition to, let's say, 1000, so that number of payments are more. Okay, so you can see this is the situation. And because this filtering is happening, that is why this number of payments have reduced. If I comment this line, or if I remove this line, you can see the original number of payments were higher, 11, 11, 5, 10, 8. But because I am performing filtering and rows are being filtered, that is why these number of payments have reduced. So till now, we know how we are using aggregate functions, how we are using where clause, and how we are using group by clause. Is this clear so far? Is this so far clear? Yes or no? Yes or no, guys? Okay. Now, let's suppose I also want to display this output in a particular order. Let's say order by revenue column in descending order. So now you can see the highest revenue is coming at the top and the lowest revenue is coming at the bottom. And finally, let's also say that I want to put the limit clause. Let's say I only want to see the top 3 rows. That means top 3 rows according to the revenue in descending order. So if I put limit 3, only the top 3 highest rows with the highest revenue are being displayed over here. So this is how you write a complicated full query. We have the select clause also, we have the where clause also, group by, order by, and limit. Now, if you want, you can put as many conditions as you want. Let's say you want to put more conditions. Let's say I also want to put condition that payment ID should be greater than 5, or payment ID should be greater than, let's say, 100. So again, the values are going to change accordingly. Or it was, let's say, 1005. So if you put more and more conditions, your values are going to change. But for now, let's not complicate it. So this is how we are performing the filtering. But the major thing here is to remember the sequence. Select whatever columns you want from the name of the table where payment amount is greater than 1000, and group by payment method, order by this. Okay, now again, I want to teach you the last concept over here. Okay, let's suppose that this is my output. But what I want is that I only want those payment methods where the total revenue, or this revenue that we have calculated, is greater than 50,000, or let's say greater than 30,000. Where should I put this filter that my revenue should be greater than 30,000? Can anyone tell me? Can anyone tell me where should I put this condition that my revenue should be greater than 30,000? Okay. So one way over here is that I can try it over here, that my revenue value should be greater than 30,000. Let's try to run this. And you can see I will be getting an error. I'm telling you I'll be getting an error. You can see over here, this code has failed. So guys, this is because whatever is our aggregated column, that means whatever these columns that we are creating over here, revenue and payments, these are aggregate columns. And if you have to put a condition on aggregate columns, you put it over here. Let's say I say having RAV greater than 30,000. And now you can see only those rows are selected where my revenue is greater than 30,000. If I say revenue is greater than 20,000, more rows will come. But if you have to put a filter on these aggregated values that we are calculating, it will be put in the having clause, which will come after group by clause. So having revenue greater than 20,000. Let's say I put another condition and payments, this column that we have created, payments should be greater than, let's say, 8. And you can see we have only those columns that satisfy both these conditions: revenue greater than 20,000 and payments greater than 8. You can put an or condition also, it will work accordingly. So either your payment should be greater than 20,000 or either your revenue should be greater than 20,000 or your payment should be greater than 8. Or if I have to change this, your result will come accordingly, right? So this is how calculations are done. Now debit card is also coming because revenue is not greater than 20,000, but payments are greater than 3. So or means any of the condition should be true. So guys, this is almost 50% of your SQL. If you know how to write these clauses, you know more than 50% of SQL, because these clauses are the most important thing that you need to understand how these clauses work. First of all, more importantly, you also need to remember the sequence. Now let me add having also over here, having clause, and it is used to filter the aggregated columns. Whatever new aggregate columns you have created, it is used to filter those. And where clause is used to filter the data from the original table. That means whatever columns were present in your original table, if you have to put a filter on that, it will be in the where clause. Now, this is a very important interview question also, that what is the difference between where clause and having clause? Where clause basically means to put a filter on the columns of your table. Having clause means to put a filter on the aggregated column values that you have calculated. But most importantly, you need to remember this sequence. Where clause cannot come after group by. Group by cannot come after having. This sequence has to be followed. And last thing, what I could also have done. Okay, so currently I'm being shown 5 rows, right? So if I want to control this also, I can write limit 3. So only the top 3 rows will be displayed, ordered by the revenue in descending order. So these are the top 3 highest revenue generating payment methods. And this is the essence, or this is the crux of writing a SQL query. If you have command on these 6 clauses, you will never go wrong in writing basic SQL. And if you know these 6 clauses, you can easily qualify for a data analyst role or for a business analyst role, at least in the preliminary rounds. Now I'll copy and paste the code. I'll give you 3 minutes. Everyone, please try to run the code, understand the code line by line, and see if you have any doubts before I go ahead. We have a few more minutes, 10 to 15 more minutes before I wrap up the class. So I'll cover one more topic. Don't worry. I'll repeat having clause also, Chandrika. Don't worry. Okay. Please run this code, understand this code line by line. Okay, let's give it 1.5, 2 more minutes. I'll take all these doubts that are coming in the chat box. Just give me 1 more minute so that everyone can run this query and understand and then ask your doubts.